Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Wild West AI. All right, here's the question that I have found AI models have a lot of difficulty answering. What model are you? Seems pretty simple. You know, you're using GPT. What model are you? Ask GPT-5. You would expect it to say GPT-5. Well, I asked it the other day, what model are you? And it said, I'm GPT-4 Turbo. As of October 2025. It had the current date right, but the model wrong. All right, so a lot of people who know more about AI stuff than I do are probably already like, I already know the answer to this, or a lot of, I know more than you. Why do you have a show? Yeah, good question. Make your own show. But anyway, here's what I found so far. Number one of the reasons why they have trouble with this is because they're trained before they exist, right? Like they're training the new models. These companies train these new AI models, to put out there into the world without having the model exist out there in the world. So it's trained on data that doesn't include itself existing. So then when you finally bring it up, you give it additional instructions afterwards saying like your GPT-5, it still doesn't stick a lot of the time. So asking GPT, or, this also was the case with Claude. I've had this happen over and over again with Claude also. It says it's a different model than what I'm, selecting it to be. And so it'll look at its training data and be like, oh, GPT-4 Turbo. Now that's a little crazy to me because GPT-4 Turbo was a while ago now. Like I'd expect it to say, okay, I'm GPT-4o, but to say I'm GPT-4 Turbo it's kind of dating yourself a bit there, like more so than I was expecting. Anyway, so there's one thing I found. And just a reminder for anyone who's, just starting to figure out what this show is all about, which is everyone, because I just started it a few weeks ago. I'm just an average guy who's been toying around with this stuff for a few years now. I'm not an expert in any of this, and I'm learning as we go. That's kind of the point of the show. So if you're listening in to hear an expert, I'm not one. I'm just kind of discovering things and talking. That's the point. Okay, here's another thing that I've discovered recently. So these AI models have like a routing mechanism, and I'll just stick with GPT since I'm very familiar with that one in particular. You have these new models come out, and now you have like, oh, it's GPT-5 thinking model versus GPT-5 versus instant answer. In the model picker, you can pick older ones if you have a plus plan or whatever it is. Anyway, when you ask the default model a question or put some sort of input in there, and it kind of determines what to do next with that input, it's routing to a model. It's not like you're asking it and then necessarily it itself, the model that you're asking, is the model that answers. It can route to a different model. So I have found that I'll be talking and mid-chat, the answers just suddenly get worse or suddenly get completely different. And I can just tell that something has happened. And I didn't realize right away that it was switching models mid-conversation. So that's something to keep your eye on as well and be aware of that can happen. There are ways of kind of maneuvering that I've been messing around with, and I'll start sharing those as I discover more concrete ways of dealing with that. But I'm still kind of messing with it. But the routing thing really annoys me because sometimes I'll get stuck using some sort of model that I'm not even trying to use and I didn't even pick to chat with, and that just drives me crazy. So that's another thing that's going on in the background. And it's very maniacal in a way. It's like, it just makes me mad because when they first roll out new, more powerful AI models or whatever, like Claude, Opus, whatever, 4.1 or whatever it was, I wasn't speaking to it. I wasn't actually getting answers from it for the first few weeks after it said that I should be getting answers from it. It just kept on reverting to Claude Sonnet. And I didn't know that. And then one day I asked it who I was talking to, and it's like, well, I'm this. And that's not the reason why I know I was talking to the other Claude, because then there's the training data thing. So maybe it is the new version, but it just thinks it's the old one. But after some trial and error, I kind of figured out, no, it really was the older model. And then a few days later, I did the same input, same everything, and it was the newer model. And the answers were entirely different. And I did this 4 times just to definitely verify that things were going through this other model, and it was. So it like they either let it go or it just decided to let it route through. I'm not quite sure. I'm still learning why this happens, how it determines what course to take when you're leaving it up to it, or when you think that you've chosen a model. Like I feel like unless you're explicitly told, hey, your chat is getting routed to a different model, if you're not really like paying attention to this stuff, or if you're not aware of it, I wasn't aware of it for a while, then you're not gonna like realize that like you're not getting the answers that you're expecting to get, or you're not having the conversation you think you're having because you think that you're using this new system. But if it seems like it's not really doing the trick, or if it's like, I don't know, that was pretty bad, take a look at like what you had just inputted. See if there's some sort of thing that could have triggered it to change. And honestly, and here's the real kicker part of it, you can ask it. Like the reason why I first started even finding this out myself, finding out more about it later, searching online myself. But the way I first kind of became aware of it was like one chat I was having recently was just, it was all over the map. And I was like, it kind of seems like you have multi-personality disorder or something. Like I don't, like, why is everything changing all of a sudden? It was like, well, I just rerouted to a different model. And I was like, what? So I'm still definitely in the learning category here, to be sure. But I'm just going to keep sharing out whatever I find with you as I find it out. All right. I'm no expert, but I'm honest. So I can give you that. All right, everyone. We'll be back again soon. Thanks so much for listening, and take it easy. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.